Greetings, I'm Alfred Lambermont Weber, a futurist and author, and today is the first weekly edition of a new video feature entitled A Public Inquiry, USA Watch, January 2025, does the USA break up into regions as SRI, Stanford Research Institute, and CIA, the US Central Intelligence Agency, predicted in January 1977. I just want to share screen a moment and give you a visual of that. That is our logo. I think you can see that now. A Public Inquiry, USA Watch, January 2025. Does the USA break up into regions as SRI, Stanford Research Institute, and CIA, the US Central Intelligence Agency, predicted in January 1977? As you will discover in this first edition of our weekly video blog, which you can discover and sign up for, I was told on my first day of work at Stanford Research Institute Center for the Study of Social Policy, their futurist unit in January of 1977, they had a 50-year future, alternative future study with the US Central Intelligence Agency, kind of their bread and butter, and I had been just hired as a futurist, and the center's director, Willis Harmon, took me aside and said, Alfred, in the future, the USA is going to break up into various regions. And I'll be reading and sharing from my book. In the future, will the United States of America break up into many regions? A Public Inquiry, which is a study of that question scientifically. And that image that you see before me, in front of you, of the United States divided into blue states and red states and some yellow in between and light blue and other colors, that is one of the many such images that you'll find if you just search the internet and ask for images of the United States balkanization, or divided up into states or regions by red states and blue states, or political affiliation, or Donald Trump states, or liberal versus conservative. This particular image was published by Pravda, the Russian newspaper Pravda, and it's one Russian professor's version of what a public breakup of the U.S. into red and blue states, Trump and other states, might look like in the future. I have written 3 books on this subject, which you can find by going to Amazon.com and entering my name, Alfred Lambermont Weber. And Donald Trump is central to all three, and it appears to be one of his life missions and ultimate goal to break up the United States into regions rather than to preserve the unity of the first American Constitution. I taught constitutional law as an adjunct professor at the University of Texas, teaching the Bill of Rights of the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution. So I wanted to see that. This is sort of the logo of our weekly podcast, which you can follow by subscribing to our weekly publication, A Public Inquiry, USA Watch, January 2025, which you can find at many of our publications, including you can subscribe to it at exopolitics.com, for example, exopolitics.com. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And today, again, is Thursday, August 8th. And we'll be having a broadcast somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes in length each Thursday. Today is a significant day because it's August 8th, and everybody knows, you learned this in kindergarten, that August is the 8th month, and that 8 straight up and down is an 8, but on its end is the infinity sign in mathematics. So today it's infinity all the way around, because 2024 adds up to 8 in terms of the numerology. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 4, and the 24 is 8. So today's an 888 day. It's a very unusual day for you numerologists out there. And we're going through a very fundamental changes at many dimensions. And it's a chance to really lay down some new timelines and not necessarily to go into a negative future. So full disclosure, I was an elected delegate to the 1996 Texas presidential Democratic convention, where I cast my vote in favor of Clinton, of Bill Clinton. So I was a Democrat in that election. And although I live in Canada, my last U.S. residence was in Brownsville, Texas, where I was a deputy administrator of the Brownsville Community Health Center, and very much involved with the border issues there. And so I have written away to the Cameron County electoral officials, and I'll be receiving my ballot in the 2024 US elections. And full disclosure, as a lifelong Democrat, my mother was my late mother, Juanita Chisholm Weber, who was born in Cuba, and it was a lifelong American citizen, was president of the Rio Grande, South Texas Democrats. And our family home in Texas was the Ted Kennedy headquarters for Ted Kennedy for president. So I will be casting my vote for the Kamala Harris Walsh ticket. And I just want full disclosure, and I'm reporting what I see. And what I was told in January of 1977, and I'm conducting a public inquiry. And the reason why we started it today is that yesterday, on Wednesday, August 7th, the President of the United States, and let me get that here so you can see it. Joseph Robinette Biden made a public statement, and I'll bring this out so that it'll be more easy for you to see. Let me, sometimes these things are a little hard to move. Please. Okay, let me stop the share. I'm going to stop the share and move this out to the center and then start the screen share again. Here we go. Share. So this is Joseph Robinette Biden. Oops, we don't have any. See if we can get the sound here.
Since dropping out of the 2024 race. Listen to what the president said could happen 5 months from now.
Are you confident that there will be a peaceful transfer of power in January 2025?
Trump wins? No, I'm not confident at all. I mean, if Trump loses, I'm not confident. He means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it. All the stuff about if we lose, there'll be a bloodbath. It's have to be a stolen election. Look what they're trying to do now in the local election districts where people count the votes. They're putting people in place in states that they're going to count the votes, right? You can't love your country only when you win.
Robert Costa joins us now. Robert, dramatic moment.
It was a dramatic statement to have the sitting president of the United States just a little over 5 months away from the transfer of power say he's not confident there will be a peaceful transfer if the Republican nominee, former President Trump, does not win the election. It's a stark message from the president, and it underscored his alarm in our conversation for CBS Sunday Morning, airing this Sunday, about the state of American democracy. He believes it's so fragile. He also talked about his decision, not just on a political level, but a personal level, talking about his family and about how they really influenced his decision as well.
Very good work, Robert Costa. Thank you so much. You can see more of Robert.
Okay, so I trust that you were able to hear that and to hear the U.S. president make that statement on August 7th, that he is not confident at all that there'll be a peaceful transfer of power. And he's a president who witnessed the issues of the transfer of power on January 6th, 2021, when there was an attempt by Donald J. Trump to violate the US Constitution, to lead an insurrection and to violate the integrity of the US Constitution and the peaceful transfer of power. And it was just the integrity of the Vice President Pence that allowed it to go forward. Again, full disclosure, I'm a graduate of Yale Law School. I also taught economics in the economics department at Yale. And so just so people have those facts behind them. And the other, one of the other issues that has led me to go forward at this time is the appearance in mainstream publications such as Rolling Stone of articles substantiating the fact that the Republicans under Trump are now that there have been between 40 and 70 individuals that have been identified at the state level who are preparing themselves to ensure that there will not be a certification of the votes and a peaceful transfer of power. And Donald J. Trump, as a putative criminal, has been indicted for attempting to block the peaceful transfer of power in 2021, has now in public statements saying, we don't really need your votes, we have enough. And those are his hints laying down for his people. He is a totally criminal person. He's a psychopath. I'm a graduate psychotherapist from the University of Texas. And I've done my practicum and I'm speaking as a psychotherapist now, quoting from the DSM-4 that he is a narcissist, a psychopathic narcissist and a psychopathic liar. I believe that he goes beyond a sociopath into a psychopath. He is intent on the destruction of the United States. And so we have all of the documentation in the, which is now being prepared by Rolling Stone magazine with the declaration of the sitting US president giving a warning sign now the day before August 8th, 2024. And I was duly warned in January of 1977 by the director of Stanford Research Institute's futurist unit, the Institute for the Study of Social Policy, as part of their contract with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency for an alternative 50-year future study of the USA, that the USA would break up into regions. And so I'm speaking here in service to my fellow countrymen. I'm a dual citizen of the United States of America and of Canada. My mother was a dual citizen of the United States of America and came from a Canadian family of Chisholms who immigrated from Scotland to Canada, to the United States, to Cuba, where my two grandfathers, my American grandfather, the Weber, immigrated, joined forces to do business in Cuba prior to the Cuban Revolution of 1960. And I was arrested in Cuba. I spent time in jails, both under the Batista regime and under the Castro regime. And it was Fidel Castro's sister, Juanita Castro, who got me released from my unlawful detention under the Fidel Castro regime, so I could leave Cuba with my family and enter my first year as an undergraduate at Yale University. So that's part of my personal history. What I'd like to do today is to begin the voyage of a public inquiry into the question and into the hypothesis that the constitutional America, United States of America, will be broken up by the interactive force of MAGA, M-A-G-A, and we'll get more deeply into the origins of MAGA, plus Antichrist, which Donald Trump embodies, and the chronarchy, or the secret time travel government. The MAGA hypothesis is Donald Trump, General Paul Vallely, Brigadier General, retired, and co-author Colonel Michael Aquino of the United States Army. The first line of inquiry. A public inquiry into whether the United States of America will break up into regions joins two principal lines of inquiry. The first line of inquiry had its roots. This is from my book, In the Future, Will the United States of America Break Up into Many Regions of Public Inquiry, which is available on Amazon. Just Google my name. The first line of inquiry had its roots in January 1977. In that month, I first joined the Center for the Study of Social Policy as a futurist, the futurist unit at Stanford Research Institute in Menlo Park, California. At the time, the center had a contract with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, to complete a 50-year alternative future study of the United States of America. In my early days at the center, Willis Harmon, director of the center, drew me aside in a private meeting and told me, in the future, the United States is going to break up into several regions. When I joined the SRI Center, my frame of reference was as a co-director of the Assassination Information Bureau, that was me, and a consultant to U.S. Representative Henry B. Gonzalez, Democrat of Texas, chairman of the House Banking Committee and of the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA, to study the political assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, and Malcolm X. The multidimensional depth of factors underlying Willis Harmon's statement was such that I had to complete and publish 20 plus, which are now 25, multidimensional knowledge books on Amazon and allow the passage of 46, now 47 years of Earth times, 1977 to 2024, before talking this key public issue. In the future, will the United States of America break up into many regions? A public inquiry. Following the events of January 6, 2021, on first analysis in taking on the issue of the possible future balkanization of the United States of America into smaller political units, I concluded that the prime driver of a possible future breakup of the United States of America as a CIA contractor, futurist, SRI futurist, Willis Harmon had deliberately leaked to me in January 1977 was a complex of clandestine forces of the chronarchy, the hidden time travel power structure acting primarily through political structures to break up the constitutional United States of America. Chronarchy breakup hypothesis. Initially, I followed one hypothesis for the possible future breakup of the United States of America that Willis Harmon had leaked to me. The chronarchy breakup hypothesis, the flow of concepts, which goes something like this. In the future, will the United States of America break up into many regions? Is a new book series from futurist Alfred Lemont Weber that publicly shares the proof, reality, and implications, if ultimately manifesting, of an apparently classified top secret DARPA CIA Project Pegasus quantum access time travel pre-identification information that, quote, in the future, the United States of America would break up into many regions, end of quote. That leak was given to Alfred in January 1977 by director Willis Harmon, while Alfred first joined the Center for the Study of Social Policy, the then Futurist Unit at Stanford Research Institute, SRI, in Menlo Park, California. At the time, SRI's Futurist Unit had a contract with the Central Intelligence Agency to study, quote, alternative 50-year futures of the United States of America. As Alfred has revealed in his book, quote, The Chronarchy, about 50 of DARPA CIA top secret Project Pegasus time travel unit had met with him, they met with me, in 1971 at a non-disclosure location in New Jersey when Alfred was general counsel and assistant administrator of the New York City Environmental Protection Administration under Mayor John Lindsay and Administrator Jerome Kretschmer. In 1971, DARPA CIA top secret Project Pegasus time travel unit had secretly time traveled a paperback version of Alfred's iconic book, Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe, from 2005, when it was first published, back to the year 1971. And I have a copy of the book that was time traveled by the US secret time travel unit back from 2005 back to 1971. And this is that book now. It's Exopolitics by Alfred Lamont Weber. That's a book that founded the science of exopolitics, or the science of relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. The time travel book of Alfred's paperback, Exopolitics, was witnessed, it was eyewitnessed in 1971 by multiple parties, including a CIA consultant and a US chrononaut, Andrew D. Bashago, JD, M.Phil Cantab, a fact that whistleblower Andrew D. Bashago announced publicly in 2005 that he witnessed, he and his father witnessed my book in 1971, because it was time traveled from 2005 by the secret CIA time travel unit from 2005 back to 1971. And that's all these time travel capabilities. They had 8 different technologies, are part of why the CIA knew and leaked to me in 1977 that in the future, the United States might break up into regions, which is what I'm reporting to you now on this series of weekly broadcasts. When I joined the SRI Center, my frame of reference was as a co-director of the Assassination Bureau, AIB, and a consultant to U.S. Representative Henry B. Gonzalez, Democrat of Texas, chairman of the House Banking Committee and of the House Select Committee on Assassination, to study the political assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, and Malcolm X. The multidimensional depth of factors underlying Willis Harman's statement was such that I had to complete and publish 20 years of Earth time, 46 years of Earth time, now 47, from 1977 to 2024, before taking this key issue public, which I'm taking it now. And I made my decision now on Thursday, August 8th, because the President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, who is also a member of the chronarchy, he was pre-identified in 1971 but as a future US president, and so briefed, along with many future US presidents. And the fact that he yesterday stated that he does not believe that there will be a peaceful transfer of power is an announcement, in my judgment, by the chronarchy, by the CIA, and by our secret government that has been monitoring the US through secret time travel, that the US will survive the unconstitutional war that Donald J. Trump, a constitutional criminal, indicted criminal, and its co-conspirators now are organizing to not recognize the lawful votes cast in order to thwart a lawful transfer of power in January of 2025. That is what is occurring. And what is occurring is that the US government, through its secret time travel unit, the police, have found this out, and they are monitoring these criminals. They're monitoring Donald J. Trump and all of the criminals identified in the Rolling Stone magazine that are now falsely organizing to try and destroy the validity of the November 2024 election by falsely withholding the results. And I am participating in that by lawfully casting my vote in November 2024 for the Democratic ticket in Texas as a US resident living abroad. Following the events of January 6, 2021, on first analysis in taking on the issue of the possible balkanization of the United States into smaller political units, I concluded that the prime driver of a possible future breakup of the United States of America as a CIA contractor, SRI Futures Willis Harman had deliberately leaked to me in January 1977, was a complex of clandestine forces of the chronarchy, the hidden time travel power structure, acting through primarily political structures to break up the constitutional United States of America. Okay, we have now reached the 38-minute mark. There's a lot of information that I've shared with you today. This is probably a lot of strangeness to those of you who are following the 2024 election in purely, normal terms, and those who are learning of this information for the first time will need a lot of time to digest it. So we're going to end now this first issue of a public inquiry, January 2025, will the constitutional USA break up into regions? I am futurist and author Alfred Lambermont Weber. You can obtain my study on this report at Amazon.com by searching for my name there, and it'll take you right to my books there. And you can download either the ebook or the paperback on this. And you can sign up for our weekly podcast on this subject, which comes out every Thursday at exopolitics.com. And for our podcast, A Public Inquiry. Thank you very much. And the purpose of this broadcast is a positive one, and is to preserve the constitutional unity of the United States by exposing the criminality of Donald J. Trump and his co-conspirators who are conspiring and attempting unlawfully to withhold certification and conspiring to prevent the peaceful transfer of power in January 2025. Thank you very much.